Good morning. Hello, fellow flyers. I decided to pop on today just to tell a quick story about last night, and I'm not going to do live because I got myself some McDonald's that I haven't eaten yet, and so this will hopefully make me talk a little faster so that it doesn't go cold. In any event, I figured a few of you might be able to relate to this, whether you have ADHD or not. But also, I was super proud of myself for how I handled the situation because I was well within my right to lose my shit. And I did a little bit internally, but I was pretty good with managing that shit on the outside. So, anyway, I was sitting watching TV last night and decided that I needed pop. Specifically, I wanted Dr. Pepper. Not that I need it, but whatever. So I was going to go to the dollar store, ask the hubby if he needed anything. He wanted some random chips, so I was going to grab those. I go to leave, and my key is not in the usual spot. And I say usual because like 80% of the time it's there where I put it. It's this little bowl on top of I call it a craft cupboard, but it's actually a big dresser type armoire in my living room, full of all of my craft stuff. And it also has various other things just sitting there because, again, although things are supposed to make their way into the bowl, there's also random crap just sitting on top of the dresser. Anyway, so it's not there. I look in a couple of usual spots and, the pockets, that kind of thing. Can't find it anywhere. And so I'm being calm and I continue to look for it very, very calmly. And I continue and I'm not finding it. And soon the hubby starts, helping, which he often does because this is not an unusual occurrence for me. And we cannot find it anywhere. Side note, I have one of those like tracker things that I got off Amazon, which are really, really good, but the backing fell off of it. I had one on my key a few months back and I never fixed it. So word of advice, if you buy one of those tracking things so that you can track the things that you lose a lot, make sure that if it falls off, you actually deal with it right away because it would come in handy in a situation like this. Because that is exactly what I used it for, and I have used it many times in the past to help me find the things. And so, yeah, that's my PSA. They are really, really good, and as long as you use them properly. Anyway, so we can't find this thing, and now I'm still remaining calm, but getting slightly frustrated because I've now repeatedly looked in several places. But at the same time, I have now managed to sweep under my couches, and I cleaned out my purse, which let's face it, we all have a pretty good idea of what my purse might look like, and that was a good thing, so I was able to clean that out. In fact, it's in the wash right now. What else did I get done? Oh, I found this wooden type thing for the puppy because he likes to eat everything that is, anything, but especially like the corners of wood and stuff, so I was super excited to find that. It's this big wood chunk. Sorry, I don't know what it's called, but apparently it doesn't cause splinters, so they can chew on that. So I was super happy to find that. So yeah, it wasn't a horrible thing. I got some cleaning done, and so I'm trying to be positive that at least I got these, good things out of it. But I am slowly starting to not be as calm. But I had just recently, 20 minutes, a half an hour before that, had to calm one of the children down because they were losing their shit over something. And I pulled the whole, you just need to walk away and take a breather and blah, blah, blah. So it would have looked really bad and not helped me in the long run to now start losing my shit. Anyway, so still can't find it. Looking everywhere, starting to get really frustrated because Now it's been like an hour, and I'm not exaggerating. Usually I might, but no, it's legit been like an hour at this point. And the husband's still looking. I'm telling him, don't worry about it. It'll show up when I stop looking. Don't really need pop. It's fine. It'll show up. I mean, it has to show up because got to take the kids to school the next day. So it's got to show up eventually, but I'm still not finding it. I mean, I pulled out the garbage because I had done some tidying up earlier, thinking, maybe I accidentally swept it into the garbage and then the cat dumped over the garbage. And so stuff just also kind of ended up everywhere. And so I literally went through the garbage, which was not fun, but still, trying to remain positive. I'm going to find it. Not finding it, again, and he's still looking everywhere, being as calm as, his usual self, helping me, because this is not a new thing. But I know in my brain that I put it in the bowl, and that's what's really frustrating me, because if you do have ADHD, or again, even if you don't, I'm sure this still happens to you, where you are really convinced that you did something, like really convinced, but then you kind of start second guessing yourself. And that was me. I was so convinced, sometimes I'm not sure, but I distinctly remember locking my door because one of the kids had taken a little longer to get out of the car after school yesterday, and I didn't know they were still in the car. And I distinctly remember standing at the door and locking my car and putting it in the dish. And so in my head, it must have fallen out. Maybe it wasn't quite in the dish or something, and it ended up on the floor, and hence, the sweeping and the looking. So finally he brings out finally he brings out the spare key, and he says it's probably not going to like electronically work, but you should still be able to use it, to open the door and start the car and all that. So I use it to open said car, and it starts screaming at me. The car, not the key. It starts, blaring, and so I decide, well, I'm going to put this, maybe if I just start driving, it will just go and the screaming will stop. But that doesn't work. It continues to scream at me, and then, this little thing flashes that, it is like an invalid key, and I'm inwardly doing that weird, like, kind of laughing thing, like, really? Like, this is what happens when I remain calm. Still remaining calm. Still. And he comes out and then has to get some tools or whatever to make the screaming stop, which he does, but my key is stuck in the ignition. So he's like, well, I guess we're just gonna have to open the ignition to get it out at some point. So I'm like, okay, that's great. Fine. It's okay. So I go back into the house, and he immediately grabs the garbage because he doesn't trust that I looked through it very thoroughly, which, in his defense, maybe I didn't. Who knows? So he drags that, to look through that. And I start looking again in the same places that I've looked over and over again, including the craft cupboard, which I'd looked in already. And then, but for some reason, this time something dawned on me that didn't before, because when I opened the craft cupboard and I saw them in there before, my sunglasses were sitting in this Tupperware container that had some buttons and, random crap in it. And it all of a sudden hit me that, hey, I had been wearing those sunglasses earlier, and I remembered taking them off and putting them in the bowl when I came home. But clearly the bowl is inside this random, Tupperware bowl, not the bowl I was talking about, is in the craft cupboard. And the only reason that would be in there is because when I was tidying up, I put it in there. So if the sunglasses that I took off are in the container, my keys have to be in that container. I I knew before I even looked in it that they were in there. Even though I had zero recollection of putting them in that specific container, I pull them out. I tell him I find it. You know, he goes back to get the other key out of the car, in which when he comes back and he says, you know, you have to put the car in park. And I'm like, I know, but it was in drive because I was trying to drive away. He's like, I know, but again, the car has to be in park. I'm like, is he even listening to me? Like, seriously, I just said that I had it in drive because I was trying to leave. I thought the screaming would stop if I just drove away. And he's like, no, you're not listening. He's like, that's why the key was stuck, because you didn't take it out of drive. You left it in park, because again, in my panicking of that, didn't occur to me to apparently put the car back in park, which seems really bizarre to me because, yes, as, you know, odd as I am, that isn't something that I normally do, you know, just so you're aware. I do generally put my car in park. But, yeah, so, I mean, I guess it's a good thing that, you know, I wasn't on a hill or something. Yeah, so did that, and I felt bad that he had to... Sorry, my dog is chewing after I just said that I was happy to find the wooden thing. He's chewing on my plastic laundry basket. Stop it. Anyway. So, yeah, I decided, because he helped me and remained incredibly calm through the whole thing, he deserved, you know, not just dollar store chips. So I went to the actual grocery store and got some decent chips for him. Anyway, so that is my story, and I just wanted to share because I figured y'all can, you know, relate a little bit, because that it just really sucks, you know. And it was one of those moments where I was like, no, I put it in there, like, I know. So clearly, I mean, even he was on board, and he doesn't usually trust me, and he's like, well, yeah, maybe the dog, you know, grabbed it and did something with it, or, you know, again, maybe it really did get, you know, swept under it, because that is one of those times where I distinctly remember, you know, pushing the button, locking it, putting it in there, because of the whole, you know, kid coming out of the car late thing. I was able to distinctly remember putting it in the container, and I did. I just didn't put it in the right one. I just stuck it in whatever container was there, which happened to be one with popsicle sticks in it and buttons instead. Anyway, so there you have it. I am going to go eat my McDonald's now and finish folding the laundry that I did earlier. Anyway, have a good day, and try not to lose your keys. And buy those thingies, because they are really good. And for the record, when I did go to the grocery store, I did buy the thingy to fix the thingy on the key thing, so that I could find the key thing next time. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, all right. Adios. Talk to you later.